Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Amy. I have another ship with me video for you today. It's Monday, July 7th, and these are sales from the last 5 days. I was out of town on a river rafting trip and it was amazing. I'll talk more about that later in the video, but you want to be sure to watch all the way to the end because I always have interesting and unique items, and hopefully you can learn some new things to keep your eyes out for while you're out thrifting. I apologize if you hear construction noise. They are replacing the siding on my building, and unfortunately I just can't wait till later in the day to ship because I've been gone so long. I need to get these sales out. Okay, so I didn't have a ton. I had quite a few sales and some really great, interesting sales. So the first item that sold is this vintage articulated fish charm, and this is signed Tasco, Mexico. And this is just a really unique piece. This ended up selling for $90. Now, it was listed for over 2 years. I had lots of lowball offers, and I just thought it was such a interesting piece that I decided to hold out for a higher price. And there were actually sold comps in this range for this item or very similar. So that's why I did not take the lower offers. I only paid about $3 for this, so that made my profit $69. For the remainder of the video, when I talk about my profit, you can assume that I am deducting my cost of goods, any website fees, and any shipping discounts that I offer my buyers. Just want to avoid repeating myself over and over again. So I hope you guys all had a good 4th of July. Of course, this video will be coming out probably a couple of weeks after the 4th of July. We missed out on fireworks because, like I said, we were kind of off grid actually. But it ended up being a really great trip. Okay, so did I say my profit was $69? I am really excited about that. The next item didn't take quite as long to sell. I think this has been listed maybe 2 months or so, and it is a micro mosaic piece, and it is a cross. This is a more unique piece. I was at an estate sale where they had a whole room full of jewelry, and they were just selling it by the baggie, and they had organized it into like items. So I got a whole bag of micro mosaic pieces for $10. This sold for $61. I think it had discounted shipping. I paid less than $1 a piece for these, so that made my profit $45.48. Now, not all mosaic pieces are created equally. That one was signed Italy, and I think that that seems to increase their value. I'm not really an expert on it, but I have noticed that the little like guitar pins or banjo pins are a lot more common, and so you can't get very high prices for those, and they don't sell very quickly. But if you find one of the larger and more unique pieces, you can get a little bit higher prices. I sold one a couple weeks ago, one of the other nice pieces. So I just say be sure to do your research before you pay up for something like this. So did I say I'm distracted? I'm still in vacation mode. My profit was $45.48 on that. Really excited about that. The next item, these took forever to sell. I think I've had these listed at least 2 years, maybe a year, I don't know, but they took a long time. And they're just a cute pair of vintage slippers, brand new in the box, but these are probably from, I would guess, the 1950s or 60s. Really cute little kind of piece of history, fun for like a bridal gift or something like that. I just picked them up because I thought they were really cute and charming. Plus they were only $3. They did end up selling for $38 though. Maybe I just had them priced too high to begin with. I don't know for sure, but I'm happy with that $38. And maybe I didn't check, but I was thinking maybe I didn't put like the word pinup in there, and that seems to be a good keyword for things like this. But either way, I'm glad that they sold, and they sold for $38. That's a pretty great price. Like I said, I only paid about $3 for these, so that made my profit, I have written down that it made my profit $35, but that's not right. So it probably was more like $27 profit. I'll have to double check that and make sure I have it right on my other deal here. Okay, the next item that sold is a men's golf shirt, and this is by the brand Bogey Boys. And I just picked this up because I thought it was cool looking. Has this embroidered kind of, what do you want to call it, jaguar or leopard, and then this on the back. This is a higher end golf brand, and the shirts retail like between $95 and like $150. This was a men's size medium. It ended up selling for $50. It took a while to sell, 6 to 8 months, but I did have it priced, I think at $89. So I think I just had it priced too high. Again, the story of my life. But I'm happy with that $50. I think that I paid about $7 for this. So that made my profit $33. That's just fine. I'm really trying to stick to accepting reasonable offers where I am going to be making a good profit, and where, you know, I'm in line with the sold comps. Of course, I'm not gonna give stuff away or anything like that, but I think that was a fair offer for this piece, and still trying to quickly move things in and out. Okay, the next item that sold just sold. This sold for less than I wanted it to, and a little bit less than comps, honestly. But I've had it listed over a year. This is the best offer that I have had, so I just decided to accept it. It is this Pendleton wool, somewhat vintage jacket, and it sold for $120. I had it listed for right around $200, and I kept getting offers at $100 or less. I've gotten multiple offers in that range. So it kind of made me feel like that was what people, you know, were willing to pay. And overall, I'm happy with that $120. I only paid about $10 for this at an estate sale. I got this, another Pendleton jacket, a Filson jacket, which has already sold, and I think it sold for like $200 or $300, and a Carhartt vest, and the vest already sold too. So I've already made, you know, a couple $100 on that from that estate sale, and I still have the other Pendleton wool coat to sell. So I'm just going to be happy and move this along. I do think that this was recently relisted. I have my Posher VA automatically relist items, a certain number of items for me every day. I usually do less than 10 items a day, and always over 61 days old, because I'm sure you guys have all heard by now that Posh is suspending people's listing privileges if they are excessively relisting items that are less than 60 days old. Or even if they're not excessively, it seems like people are just getting suspended for doing one or two. I haven't had any problems yet, so hopefully I can avoid that. I do have a couple of Chairish sales, also some really good ones, but I'm going to go ahead and get these items to the post office, and then I'll be right back to share those Chairish items with you. Okay, I also had 3 sales on Chairish.com. If I didn't mention it, all the other sales so far were on Poshmark. And if you're interested in selling on Chairish, I always have the Chairish Seller's Guide linked in the description box below, and it tells you everything you could want to know about selling on there. Okay, so the first sale was this set of 3 birds, and these are wall art, basically. Probably from the 1960s. I just thought they were fun, very iconic 1960s. They are some sort of like plastic or resin, but they're carved to look like wood. And the brand is Burwood Products USA. I didn't pick these up based on the brand. I just thought they were iconic mid-century decor. They ended up selling for $225, which I'm really thrilled about. They did take, I think I've had these listed over a year, but for $225, that is totally worth it. I'm going to set these off to the side and package them up off camera. So those sold for $225. I paid $8 for the set of them at an estate sale, so that made my profit $173. I am thrilled with that. Okay, the next item that sold is this pair of vintage Ralph Lauren corduroy pillows, and they've got the RLL embroidery on there. They also have tags on the inside that show that they're Ralph Lauren. You guys who watch me regularly know that I have really great luck with pillows. This pair sold for $152. They only took, I think, maybe a month to 2 months to sell, so that's a pretty quick flip for hard goods for me. I paid $3 a piece, so a total of $6. So that made my profit $113. I am very excited about that. Some really great Chairish sales. And then the next item is this amazing art glass decorative bowl dish. You see how large that is? I just absolutely loved the shape of this. Again, probably from the 1960s. I guess it could be a little bit later, but anyways, a super cool piece. It ended up selling for $225 plus a $20 packaging fee, which is in addition to the shipping fee, and the buyer pays both. So a total of $245. I only paid $5 for this at a yard sale. So that's the good news. The bad news is this has been listed for more than 2 years. I did have it listed high though, because I could not find anything like it comparable. I just thought it was such a massive and unique piece that I just decided I would keep it if I couldn't get a good price for it. And I think that $245 is a great price. Like I said, I paid $5, so that made my profit $190.50. I am super thrilled with that. One of you in one of my recent videos asked if I could talk a little bit more about how I determine how much I'm going to ask for my packaging fee. So on Chairish, you set your sale price, you can set a packaging fee, and then Chairish, you can select to have them arrange the shipping. So they just send you a shipping label based on the dimensions of the item that you provided, and they estimate the weight. So I think they have some agreement with UPS for, you know, if something's really heavy, they get charged, and if it's really light, they get refunded. But so anytime I have a difficult or breakable item, I charge a packaging fee. And I base that cost on how long I think it will take me to package the item. So if it is a large and bulky, cumbersome item, and it's going to take me 45 minutes to get it all wrapped up and build the box and everything, I will charge a little bit of money for my time. And then I also base it on how much the packaging materials to ship that will cost. So for those of you, who bought bubble wrap and bought packing peanuts, you know that that can be really expensive. So if it's going to take me a whole roll of big bubble wrap that cost me, I don't know exactly how much it is, $15 or something like that, then I'm going to charge add on that $15 to their costs. And, you know, some of you may not agree with that or understand, but on Chairish, people will pay the packaging price or the packaging fee and the shipping fee. So it doesn't tell the buyer that there's a packaging fee. It just shows the buyer the sale price, and then the packaging fee is wrapped in to the shipping cost. So if the shipping for this item was going to be $25 and I charged a $20 packaging fee, it would show that the shipping cost was $45. I have not had very many complaints at all about the shipping costs. You know, a couple here and there, but most of the buyers that I'm targeting on Chairish are wealthy buyers or interior designers, and an extra $20 or whatnot doesn't really seem to concern them. That's just how I do it, and it has worked out pretty well for me to get high prices for items, and also to make sure that I am compensated for the materials and my time to ship the item. I hope that is helpful. I also always try to have a variety of box sizes on hand. I buy boxes at Staples and at Walmart, and I keep almost all of my Amazon boxes that we get in the mail, because, you know, my husband will order like fishing poles and different things that I get these interesting shaped boxes, and then they come in handy later. Also, I ask some of my fellow small businesses who get packages coming in with packaging materials and boxes to save certain materials for me. So I do get some free packaging materials, probably about 50-50. I use new and recycled materials. And then sometimes I'll get large boxes from them, and I will hang on to those in case I have a sale. Like, you know, I sold that vintage laundry hamper and that vintage desk chair, and then I'll just use that, and if I can cut it down or need to cut it down and make it shorter, I'll just do that. Well, I hope that is helpful. Don't go anywhere. This video will continue with what else I sell this week. And if you've enjoyed this video and you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you would subscribe. That way you won't miss any of my future uploads. Also, when you give a video a thumbs up, it really helps the creator out, and it can boost their videos in the YouTube algorithm. So of course, I always appreciate that. Okay, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Hey again, it's Wednesday, and I've got 2 more sales to ship out. Hasn't been a super busy week, but one of the sales is a really great sale. So the first sale is a bundle, and it sold on Poshmark. It sold for $69 for 3 items. And the first item is this really pretty sterling silver ring with a green stone in it, and I did put what type of stone it was, but now I can't remember. It starts with a P. It's not peridot. It was like pre-seal-lite or something like that. But this was the bulk of the amount of the sale. The other 2 items are just teeny tiny little charms. This is just a little bird sparrow charm, teeny tiny gold tone. And then an even tinier little sterling silver seashell pendant charm. I just thought this was so cute and unique. The buyer ended up getting about 40% off of my asking price, but all of these items had been listed, you know, a fair bit of time. And so I just decided to accept her counter offer. I offered her $79, and I can't remember exactly what I had everything listed for, but she counter offered $69. So I just went ahead and took that, especially because I hadn't had any sales since Monday on Poshmark, and this just came through this morning. I have not been listing though, so there you go. That's probably why I don't have any sales. I need to get back on track. There is still construction noise. Sorry if you can hear that. Hopefully you cannot. Okay, so I got the ring at the estate sale where I spent $890. So I paid $3 for the ring. The little sparrow charm was out of my own jewelry box. I don't know where I got that. And then the little seashell, I think I paid about $3 for that as well. So a total of $6 for my cost of goods, which made my profit $49.20. I think that's great. I'm really happy with that. The next item is a really great sale and cool, really unique pieces. So it is a pair of these vintage sailboat wall sculptures. It's pretty interesting that I sold these in the same week that I sold those bird wall sculptures, because both have been listed for a fair amount of time. You know, I don't know exactly how long, but probably somewhere around a year for both of them. These sold for $400 plus a $30 packaging fee. And I think I forgot to mention when I was talking about packaging fees earlier in the week that sometimes when you have to buy a larger or oddly shaped box, those can be really expensive. So I do factor that cost into my packaging fee. This is a consignment piece. Sometimes my uncle picks up random stuff. He's a thrifter too, and he found those for me. So I pay my consigners 50-50 after website fees. So that will make what he gets $156, and he always shoots for the stars, even more so than I do with pricing. Like, he asked me to price those at over $600 to begin with. And I did, but I had reduced them a couple of times. And then I also had, on Chairish, you can set a reserve price. And I think I had my reserve at $400. So the buyer must have offered that and it got automatically accepted or something. I'm not exactly sure. But overall, I'm really thrilled with that sale. And hopefully I can get back on track with my listing. It's just can be really difficult for me in summer when we're traveling so much. We are going to be traveling again next week. We're going to the Oregon coast for our anniversary. So you can see I'm distracted. The construction workers are outside of my window. So I am going to go now, but I'll be right back in a couple days to share what else I sell. Hey again, it's Saturday and it had been a really slow couple of days, but then within the last 24 hours, I had 8 sales. So I'm really excited. I'm also trying out, maybe I'll just try it out for a second here, the cinematic view. So it kind of makes the background blurred. What do you guys think? Do I look clearer in it? How can you see? Oh no, that looks like it's focusing in really good. So, let me know what you guys think of this type of video, whatever you want to call it, and I'll see if I want to do it in the future. Okay, so I will get on to what I sold here, but I will talk about my trip from last weekend at the end of the video, and I'll add some pictures from that trip, and it was really a cool, amazing trip. So hopefully you guys want to hear about that. But let's get started. So the first really exciting sale was another Louis Vuitton bag sale, but this time it sold on Chairish. So I have been cross-listing most of my Louis Vuitton bags on Chairish, and they have gotten some, you know, hearts and stuff, but I haven't sold any of them. So this is the first sale and I'm really excited. It is a Louis Vuitton Speedy 30 bag. This is a vintage bag. And a couple of weeks ago, I talked about kind of some of my no-goes for buying and reselling Louis Vuitton bags. And I broke one of my rules with this, and it ended up working out okay, but I will tell you why after I tell you how much it sold for. Okay, so it sold for $485. It took right around a month to sell. I paid $127 plus tax, shipping, and an authentication fee of $10. So my total cost of goods was $157, which made my profit $221.96. I'm very thrilled with that. So you guys can probably guess why I broke one of my rules, because it was so reasonably priced. I liked it, and the buyer sent me that really aggressive offer, and so I just accepted it. She did not have very many pictures in her listing, and I got it, and it has cracks along the top here in the canvas, which really aren't that bad. And she mailed it in one of those, she mailed this bag in one of these envelopes, which I thought was awful. So I rarely do this, but I left her a lower rating because she didn't say anything about the cracks, and she shipped it in that envelope, which I just think is ridiculous for an item that's over $100. But it ended up being a great price for the condition. So that is why I just decided to keep it. It didn't have any exposed piping on the corners or anything like that, but definitely worn and vintage. But I looked at it and thought that I would still carry it in this condition, so that's why I decided to keep it. So I'm super thrilled with that flip. You know, right around a month to make a $221 profit is outstanding. And I'm still like, you know, I said this was going to be an experiment, and I still am surprised that it's working out so well. I'm selling one of these bags like at least once a month and making a couple $100s, which I'm really excited about. I think you guys may be tired of hearing of it, but I'm excited to share it. So, okay, the rest of the sales were on Poshmark, and the first item that sold is this fun vintage locket. This looks pretty old, but I really think it's more like from the 80s or something. I guess I could be wrong now that I'm looking a little closer at it, but anyways, it sold for $41, really unique and intricate. I picked this up at an estate sale for about $3. Yeah, now that I'm looking at this chain, it could be older, but whatever. Hopefully this buyer is really excited to get it, and if they got a good deal, that is great. It didn't take too long to sell, maybe a couple of months, and I can't remember what I had this priced at, but I sent out 30% off offers on everything in my closet yesterday, and got a couple of terrible counter offers, just stupid low counter offers. I've been getting quite a bit of those lately, and I try not to let it get to me. You guys know I try and stay positive, but when they come in, I mean, like I had 5 or 6 over the last week where I had something listed for like $60 or $70 and they offer me $18 or something. You know, it's just like, don't waste my time. Okay, so did I say my profit was $27.48? I am very happy with that. The next item that sold is this vintage moon brooch, and this sold for a little bit less than I hoped it would. It is signed on the back, but I could not make out the signature, and I did a lot of research and Google image search, and I couldn't find what this brand was. I did find other brooches that were almost identical to this with no brand name or different brand names. So I did have this priced higher to begin with, but after I sent out those 30% off offers, someone offered me 20, and I just went ahead and took it because, you know, I just figured I wasn't going to do any more research and find out who the designer was, and so just gonna move it along. I only paid about $2 for this, so that made my profit $14. That's just fine. I think that was probably listed 6 months or so. The next item is another one of the little mosaic pieces that I got at that yard or that estate sale that had a ton of jewelry. I got a whole bag of mosaic pieces for $10. I think there was over 20 pieces, so I paid less than $1 a piece. And this sold for $20. Again, a little less than I was hoping for, but it did have some little, let's see, I'm overthinking packaging this again. It did have some little chips on the mosaic. So I just decided to go ahead and let it go, not worry too much about it. Let's see. I think that's fine like that. So like I said, I paid less than $1. That made my profit $15. These were pretty quick flips, sold within a couple of months, 2 or 3 months. I had kind of not been picking up mosaic pieces because they didn't sell very well for me, or very quickly in the past. I think maybe I overpriced them. Certain pieces that were really like intricate and delicate I would still pick up, but kind of these basic ones I was not picking up anymore. And I might rethink that if, you know, they are the right price. Okay, I had a belt sale, so you know, I am happy that I am selling some now. It has been pretty dry for me, but I did list quite a few new belts over the last couple of weeks. This belt has been listed forever, for a couple of years. It is Nakona, I think that's the brand, but it kind of has, you know, a hunting camouflage vibe there. I thought it was cool, and it's leather, or, you know, part of it is leather and studded. I really thought that it would sell quicker, but it didn't. It ended up selling for $22. I'm not sure if this was part of my 30% off or if this buyer offered me that 22, but I think I had it listed somewhere around 35. So especially because it had been listed so long, I was more than happy to accept that offer and just move it along. I'm really trying to, I mean, I'm sure I've said this, but I'm really trying to be real particular with the belts that I pick up, just because they're selling so slow for me now. And I have so many listed, probably still 75 or 100 listed. Okay, this was kind of a nice surprise sale. I wasn't sure if these would sell or not. I don't know why. They're pretty cool, but I think just because they're kind of unique black boots. I put Western and Witchy in the title. These did have a brand name, which I did figure out, but I can't remember what it was. If you're curious, you can of course look at my sold listings in my Poshmark closet. But these sold for $42. I picked them up at the Rodeo Queen Faircourt yard sale. So I only paid about $4 for this haul. So these have been listed, what has that been? 4 or 5 months ago that I went to that. So, you know, a fair amount of time, but not terribly long. And I'm happy with that, $42. I also sold another pair of boots, which you will see that I got a couple of years ago at the Faircourt yard sale. And I was surprised that they didn't sell sooner, but I'm glad that they finally did. And I also was considering putting them in my yard sale because they had been listed so long, but for some reason I didn't get a ton for them, but still made a profit for sure, so I am happy about that. Okay, so these black boots sold for $42. I paid about $4 for them. So that made my profit $29.60. Oh, another Danceco sale. I've really been liking selling Dancecos recently. They've been pretty quick flips for me if I price them right for the basic ones. So these sold for $30, and I think these were listed less than a month. And just leather, you know, pretty good condition. I always look at the bottom sole to make sure that they're not overly worn. You know, a little wear is okay, of course. But like I said, $30 for a pretty quick flip, and I only paid $3 for these. The gal asked me if they were the caramel color, which I looked at a color chart online and they matched the caramel color, so I just said I don't know what the original color was called, but when I look at a color chart that says caramel, these match that. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Well, let me finish this. I'm all over the place as usual. We're going out of town again this weekend. I shouldn't complain. We are very fortunate to be able to travel as much as we do, but I'm, you know, getting things ready again. So, okay, these sold for $30. I paid $3, which made my profit $21. So I had a buyer open up a return case on the Pendleton coat that I sold a couple of weeks ago. And I would like your guys' feedback on this because I honestly wasn't sure what I should do in this instance. I've said before, if I make a mistake, I'm happy to accept a return. And in this instance, it appeared that I made some sort of mistake, but it did not affect the garment technically. So on this coat, it had pockets here, and then it had a big, like, kind of kangaroo pocket on the back. And he said that there was religious propaganda is what he said in the back pocket. And you know how sometimes people will hand out, you know, religious messages in a little like gift baggie, and they'll put like candies in it or whatever. Well, apparently there was 2 of those baggies in the back pocket. I don't know how I missed that because I did steam the coat before I photographed it, but it's possible that I missed that. So there was nothing wrong with the coat, but it had that stuff in the back pocket, and he was really it came across that he was bent out of shape about it, and he requested a return. And at first I was not going to respond at all, but then I responded and said, I do steam all of my items before photographing them. I'm not sure how I could have missed that. I'm sorry the buyer is unhappy, but the jacket is in the condition that I stated it was in the listing. It was in good condition still. So what do you guys think? Should I have just accepted the return on that? I mean, in essence, I did make some sort of error, but it didn't affect the coat. And I have had something similar happen to me a couple of times in the past, where like I get a bag and there's still something in one of the pockets, or a jacket and there's something, you know, like a tissue or matches I've gotten in jackets. And I've either just accepted the order if the item, you know, the item was in the condition that was stated, and then I just send the seller a message and say, just so you know, I found such and such in the pocket, just thought I'd let you know so you could, you know, check your other items before you ship them out. Or if it was something gross, I may like knock off a star for the review. So that's my perspective of it. I'm just wondering what your guys' perspective. Would that totally gross you out or put you off for the sale? Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Just would like to know what you guys think about that. Okay, so the next sale was a bundle of 3 items. The first item is this vintage suede coat. Isn't that cute? Here is the label. I'm not sure what that says. And there is a matching skirt that they also added to the bundle. So I listed the skirt and the jacket separately because they were different sizes, number one, just barely different sizes. And then I also just wasn't sure how many people would actually want to wear a full suit of suede. But I did put in the description for both items that I had, you know, the matching blazer or the matching skirt available in another listing, and to bundle for discounted shipping. So they put the blazer and the skirt and the pair of boots that I was talking about earlier into a bundle and offered me $65. I think that was a pretty deep discount from what I had it listed at, maybe 30 or 40%. I can't remember for sure. But the suede suit had only been listed, I think, about a month, maybe less than a month, but it had been in my money pile for again, longer than I want to admit. So I was, I was ready to let it go and just move it along. Okay, so here is the skirt. It's kind of a midi length, pretty basic, but this is really a cute, kind of 60s, I think maybe more 70s set. And I picked this up a long time ago from a big estate buyout where they called me in and said, we're cleaning out this estate and there is quite a bit of vintage and designer clothing, handbags, and shoes. I got some amazing stuff. But for some reason, this suit set made it into my kind of like flawed or damaged pile. And so it just never got listed, or I thought it was a flawed or damaged pile. I don't know. This did have some little marks and rubs and stuff on it, but nothing too bad. So as I've been going through things lately, I pulled that out and thought, oh, well, this is totally listable. So, okay, so these are the boots that sold, and these are Michael Kors, and I think that they have been re-dyed, so maybe that's why they didn't sell as quickly. But I mean, it's been a couple of years since I got these at that fill the bag sale, so I am thrilled to get rid of them. Let's see, is this even gonna fit? Yeah, that will fit. Okay, so the bundle sold for $65. I paid about $5 for the suede suit and about $2 for these boots. So that made my profit $45. Not a huge profit for 3 items, but for items that I was motivated to sell and move along, I think that is just fine. Okay, so while I'm finishing packaging this up, I'll tell you a little bit about our trip. We floated a river again, but this was the first time for us floating the roadless section, and we floated 39 miles over 4 days. We put in near Minam, Oregon, and took out near Troy, Oregon. And to be honest with you, I was super nervous. I think I even said it in my video, just because, there's no access to a road or emergency services or anything. Of course, I did get that Starlink, so we had internet access. And I think on iPhones now, you can use the SOS text. But it was just unknown. Some of the videos and stuff I saw showed really big rapids and things like that, and I just didn't know if we were prepared. Plus, every single night we had to set up a new campsite and then break down the following morning. And, we had to pack light because it was on the raft and everything like that. But it turned out to be such an amazing trip, and the rapids weren't too bad. They were fun, and we saw lots of wildlife, bald eagles, goats. There was a rattlesnake at our very first camp, right in camp, which was pretty scary. But I got footage of most of the campsites and then some other beautiful scenery. I was also really worried about, setting up and taking down the camp every day, but that didn't end up being that big of a deal. We brought a really small backpacking tent, and we brought air mattresses, which were terrible. That was the main thing, that for next year I'm going to order a better sleeping pad, because I am just frankly too old to be sleeping on a crappy air mattress for 4 nights in a row. My back was hurting, and I just couldn't get very comfortable. But the food ended up being good. We had some dehydrated meals, and then some of the other people shared meals with us. But it was so fun, and the scenery, like I said, was just so beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoy the videos that I'm going to put after this. And I just realized that I did not total up my sales for the week. So I'm going to do that and then be right back. Okay, so here are my statistics for the week. So it turned out to be another outstanding week. My total sales were $2,205. My total cost of goods was $385. And my total profit after website fees, cost of goods, and any shipping discounts was $1,368.82. For those of you who have been watching, you know that my goal is to have more than $1,000 profit per week. So I exceeded that. I had a total of 18 sales, which made my average sale price $122.50. That is amazing. My average cost of goods, $21.39, and my average profit, $76.05. So I had 18 sales, but there were a couple of bundles. So I sold a total of 22 items, which also exceeds my 20 item goal per week. So all around, great week. Okay, so I sold 4 hard goods, meaning like home decor and things like that, 4 pairs of shoes, 8 pieces of jewelry, 1 handbag, 1 accessory, and 4 pieces of clothing. So definitely jewelry was the standout this week, but for my, the category that had the highest sales prices, that would definitely be hard goods and handbags. So just some interesting things to think about. I am really enjoying tracking all of the categories, the number of sales that I'm having each week. I'm just finding it really interesting, and I think it's helping me be more motivated. Like I said, though, I did not list very well this week or last week, and I suspect that next week I'm not going to either because I'm going to be on vacation again. So we could definitely see a dip in my sales, but I am going to try and do a couple a day at least. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoy some of the pictures and video from the trip. It was just so amazing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have about that. As always, if you enjoy my videos and you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you would subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and put a heart emoji, green heart, purple heart, whatever, in the comments down below. Thank you guys all so very much for your support. I hope you're having a wonderful summer personally and in your businesses, and I'll see you guys all again next week. Bye-bye. Campsite, night number 1. Before we set up. It's pretty cute, huh?
What do you think, honey? Do you want to go back in this? Oh, sorry.
Hopefully it takes off. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Oh, cool. Okay, take off, bud. there's a baby. Yeah.
Brian's wrapping